October 26th. What have you got for us? Big day, as you can see, very big day. Okay, so at 12:30 a.m., okay, we get this semi-square to Pluto. So this is happening at 16 degrees, the Cancer degree, okay? So this is really the moon trying to feel safe on its journey, right? Emotionally safe on its journey, while at the same time we are moving forward with Pluto in Aquarius. So this is kind of trying to cause a bit of a moment of tension, right? A bit of moment of frustration so that you can kind of push forward, right? So choosing to nurture yourself and push forward through that, okay? Then at 2:15 a.m., the moon squares the node, right? So this is at the Leo degree, 17 degrees. This is really like Sagittarius, let's go on the adventure, let's find the truth, and Pisces, the spiritual, okay? Pisces, the go with the flow. Pisces, the truth is mystical. Sagittarius, the truth is logical. So they're in this little bit of a battle, right? And it's about your emotional journey and your confidence and staying kind of open to things that you might not know about, to staying open to things that you might not even know that you don't know about, right? So this little bit of a battle, this little bit of a square is really trying to cause some kind of friction, some kind of like obstacle around belief, right? What do you believe? How do you believe it? Is it only logical? Is it only mystical? Where's the middle ground, right? And we're looking for growth here. And so this is like that moon in Sagittarius, it gets a lot of its confidence from knowing the truth, from knowing the plan, from knowing what it's doing. But this is an aspect that is asking it to just maybe stay open to the fact that your confidence can come from a different place, not just in being right. Okay. And that might be a little bit uncomfortable. So then the sun makes that a semi square with the moon. And look, that's also going to be a little bit about like the stability, right? Between the inner world and the outer world, between, the top of the water and the depths of the water. And really where that confident journey wants to kind of go with that. Like, are you allowing your shadow to tell you what it needs to learn as well? Okay. So, and again, that really does call back to that other aspect, because that's the Pisces kind of place, right? That shadow place. So this is really trying to help you see the worth in things that may not be able to be logically explained, that may not have a blueprint, that may not have the sort of truth that you are looking for. Okay. And then at 5:07 a.m., we are letting go of something. And this is an 18-degree Sagittarius moon. So that's a Virgo degree moon. So this can be very analytical, and this can be very, unfeeling in a little bit of a way. Okay. Uncaring in a little bit of a way, which is helpful here in this aspect, because that's Jupiter at the Pisces degree in Cancer. And it's really asking you to let go of that idea, right? So be a little bit analytical about your journey and where you want to go, and be, really looking at where it is that your family belief system from growing up impacts your ability to go on this new emotional journey. Okay. We need to let something go that we got from our family, is what that aspect is about. And then at 8:16 a.m., Mercury is going to trine Saturn. Huge aspect energy for the day. This could be a really good conversation, or this could be a really like a bit of a fucking battle, right? Because this is where we want to be able to find harmony between these two energies, right? Mercury is the mind, right? Scorpio in Mercury is very much about being a detective and having uncomfortable conversations. But 26 degrees is a Taurus degree. And so there becomes a bit of discomfort just within Mercury at 26 degrees of Scorpio. But because this is a trine aspect, and because we're dealing with Saturn in Pisces, so we're kind of going with the flow, but we're also in a retrograde. So if you have a look back at the first few months of this year, step one, step two, take that to the last probably 3 years, right? And have a real look at where not speaking your actual truth, where not speaking up for something you maybe had a gut feeling about, where that fucked you. okay, where that fucked you and where you had to pay the price for that, okay? Because this Mercury trine Saturn, it's trying to help you lock in some kind of inner belief system, right? Turn something into wisdom from what you've learned, from what's been uncovered, from the uncovering of some kind of secret, of some kind of darkness, uncovering that and allowing your inner belief system to flow with your healing journey, okay? So this isn't an aspect that wants you to be having an internal battle. This is an aspect that wants understanding, okay? That wants you to realize that sometimes you do have to actually put in the work on yourself in order to be able to lock in these new belief systems that we need to really feel quite good about ourselves. So then we get a couple of semi-sextile aspects, 2:27 and 3:23 p.m. So the first one with Mars, the second one with Lilith, these are all at 23 degrees, which is an Aquarius degree. Okay, so they are about authenticity. And semi-sextile aspects, they're not a big aspect. They are somewhat mild. They are somewhat subtle in the ways that they show up. But they do want some kind of harmony. They can present as a little bit annoying, and they're asking for you to be open-minded still, right? Like we're still in this open-minded kind of energy, but it still can be really hard to see something clearly, right? So what we're looking at here is the masculine energy, motivation, drive, sexual energy in its most authentic, right? And its most like kind of dark, taboo, spicy, mystical kind of energy. And Lilith is at that energy as well. So Lilith being the dark moon, being the side of our emotions that we don't really like to show anybody else. And Mars in Scorpio is wanting us to use those emotions for motivation. So how do feelings that you've overcome, that you've just recognized that you might still feel, right? How do feelings of guilt and shame and the parts of you that you reject, how could they possibly be used as power? Right? How can they possibly be used as motivation? How can we be using them to motivate us to go on this journey of higher learning, of, finding wisdom? That's what those questions are being asked. And then we get 4:47 p.m. and the moon's going to trine Chiron. This is happening at a Pisces degree. So this is about integration of a childhood wound and learning something from it. Learning something from it that we can now put into wisdom. Not just like, oh, I know, but like truly knowing, truly living, truly embodying it, right? And then we get this compromise energy, of course, with Jupiter in Cancer, because now that we have really understood and found harmony within understanding that wound that we got from the family. We've integrated it. It's become wisdom. We've got some kind of untapped ability now, like free, because we're not being held down by that judgment of family. And now we get this compromise of like, okay, well, we're going on this new journey and we are like taking all of this integrated wisdom with us, but this family space needs to have a little bit of a compromise kind of energy, right? And you might not be able to make a clear decision about what that is. And, we will be helped out by that 6:59 aspect to Uranus, because that's going to help you see something in a different perspective. And it's going to come usually through a relationship, probably a positive relationship, because there is an energy of curiosity there, like 15 degrees, Gemini degree. So being quite curious in relationships and allowing it to be seen from a different perspective. So if you do have a bit of issues shifting something, like potentially you've got a plan that you want to go and do and the family's going to get in the way, or like, some kind of obligation that you've set yourself based in your family is going to like get in the way. And then I would say go and have a conversation with somebody that you are really close to, someone that you have a good relationship to, and that is going to potentially help you see that in a different way so that you can try and move forward. Okay. But then what happens at 8:00, right? 8:00, we get this square to Saturn, right? Now happening at a Taurus degree. So there's a lot of stubbornness to this energy. And this could be a fight, right? Because Sagittarius like to run its fucking mouth off. So the moon in Sag at a Taurus degree being stubborn about what it thinks it fucking knows, having a fight with Saturn in Pisces, which like, Saturn wants to say that it knows what it knows, but it's currently in retrograde in Pisces. So there is a fucking haziness to it. And again, Saturn in Pisces says go with the flow. Time isn't real. Go with the flow, heal on your own time, and keep your inner belief system and your inner rule structure that you run your life to, keep it open to adjustments as we heal. And so this is really like stubborn Sagittarius moon being like, there has to be a fucking blueprint for how to do this, right? And Saturn stubbornly saying, no, there fucking isn't. No, there isn't. Okay. This aspect can make you late for things. So just be very careful of that. If you need to be somewhere tomorrow night, be very careful. That aspect can absolutely bring a bit of chaos to where you're supposed to be going. Saturn, the ruler of time. Okay. Sagittarius, the ruler of like going and traveling. So travel can be impacted by that aspect. Then we get a semi-sextile to Mercury, which like bit fuzzy, bit hazy, but we're maybe starting to understand something here. We're starting to figure something out, something starting to float to the surface that we need to understand. And then we're putting something in order, right? This last aspect, 11:17 p.m., the moon making this aspect with Venus. And this is being curious in a lot of ways, but it's also this need to really understand what it is that you've got that's unique. Understand what it is about you that needs to be held on to, right? Where shouldn't you put somebody else first? Libra, Venus in Libra, right? And just remain curious to the journeys that you've already been on in your past in relationships about where you've put other people first and how that has impacted your own ability to learn something about yourself, but also where it has taught you something about relationships and how you can see in the mirror of a relationship where it is that you need to work on yourself. Okay. Interesting day. Very interesting day. If you would like me to do a birth chart reading or an energy reading for November, I will be opening up my November dates very soon. So we can do a video call, which is just me and you one-on-one having a chat, or we can do a pre-recorded message. Up to you. So yeah, have a look at the memberships on my website if that's something you want to look at regularly. Otherwise, stay weird.